Hi everyone. So Liz Dobbins is about to join. Just give us 2 minutes. So she will be back. Thank you so much. Okay. Okay. Hi Liz Dobbins. How are you?
Wonderful. Thank
Oh,
you. I
thank
just
you.
was unsure where to go. Thank you for letting me come on stage. Thank you.
Thank you so much. You're the first speaker of WYN Womenium Summit 2022 for the second day.
I am excited and thrilled and full of gratitude to be here.
So we are so excited to listen your presentation. So how are you today?
I am, it's evening here and I'm alive, alert, and ready to rock.
Let's rock. So before we start the session, so we will play a beautiful introduction video of yours. Okay. So after that, you can start your presentation.
Okay. All right. I will be happy to do that. Thank you so much. You look so pretty.
Yes.
I see the hand. So, may I ask a quick question? Okay.
Okay. So after this video, you can ask. Okay.
Okay.
There is one moment.
Okay. I also have some slides to show, so I hope the slide uh,
Mm-hmm.
works to
Okay.
do it.
Hi, Liz, we are back. So, yeah, so you have a question for me?
No, I think I'm good to go because when I came back, that the square opened up, so I'm good to go for to push it for the upload the presentation.
Mm-hmm. So, thank you so much. So, we are so honored that you are the first speaker of the day to WYN Summit. So, let's rock the event. So, you can start your presentation.
Okay, right now. Okay, awesome. Thank you for having me. And what a wonderful experience to be here. I wish I could meet everybody in person or reach across the internet to connect with everybody. My name is Liz Dobbins again, and I am thrilled to be here. Today, my topic that I really would like to speak on is women in power and decision making using sensory awareness. Yeah, something different, sensory awareness. So, first of all, let's talk about what is a strong woman? Well, does she have to think like a man, but behave like a lady? Does she have to look like a woman, but work like a horse? Oh, and must she bring home the bacon and fry it up in a pan? Well, today, a strong woman is comfortable in her role and willing to go against judgment, to be authentic. She is happy and knows what it takes to make her own happiness. And you know what? A strong woman trusts her intuition. So, for women empowered, the decision making process presents many challenges, and there's pain points which require skillful navigation, such as, returning to work after extended leave, or the aftermath or surviving and dealing with the organizational reconstructing. And recently, wow, current workforce reduction. This has been huge. And not to mention, of course, our own personal life and our family life. So, with each of one of us, we have an opportunity to move into making decisions and making effective decisions. So, what if each one of us had the opportunity to self regulate, no matter what the circumstances, tuning into our own unique sensory fingerprint? Something a little unique to look at, our sensory fingerprint. It's built into our DNA to be at ease and succeed with grace. So, what if we could self regulate and confidently make decisions without second guessing yourself or being stuck in analysis paralysis? Well, the good news is we can. And I'm going to show you how. What, what if you were able to adjust in a moment's notice, pivot when necessary, and thrive with agility? So, as women in power, bearing the responsibility of decision making, we have the ability to strategically position ourselves over advancement, develop our leadership presence, and negotiate our worth and step into our leadership. So today, I'm speaking to you with the insight and understanding of our sensory system. Yes, our sensory system, and how the brain receives sensory information for what we see, hear, taste, touch, and how we move in our environment. We now can determine the threshold and responses for individuals and how this impacts our behavior, attention, and our emotion. By drawing from this neuroscience process, we now can determine how and when we respond as a result of our sensory environment. So we're making sense of our senses, so to speak. And we now can make necessary accommodations to increase our knowledge, our teamwork, health, wellness, and our productivity. So I'm going to open up a slide to show you, first of all, back to the basics. I'm going to bring this up and bring you back to the basics of the sensory system, something you probably already know. So you're familiar with probably the sensory system that you probably learned about when you were younger and even in school. So we have the 5 sensory systems, that see, smell, touch, taste, and hear. But these 2 little feet down here at the bottom, if you can see this, the feet, is where we house 2 more sensory systems. So we actually have 7 sensory systems. And I think they're studying the 8th one currently now in neuroscience. But 7 for sure, as it relates to our environment. So these 2 sensory systems that I want to touch on that are with the little feet down there, that little compartment houses 2 systems that we can't move or be in our environment without receiving information into those 2 systems. So briefly, I'm just going to touch base and identify what these 2 systems are. One is what we call proprioception, which we receive information through our muscle and joints. Whether we go from standing to sitting or something more intense like, push-ups or lifting weights. This system is a means to keep track and control of our parts of our body in space. And that's our personal space. It's not our outer space here, so I'm not sure how we would keep track and control of our different body parts out in zero gravity, but I'd like to find out. And one of these days we might find out. The vestibular system is the second one. That's the 7th sense. And it tells us where our head is in space, spatial orientation. It keeps our balance, stabilizes our head, and maintains posture. So we have 7 sensory systems. So with this in mind, I bet you're now thinking, well, this is all good. I know I have 7 sensory systems, but how do we relate the sensory system to effective decision making? Well, I've boiled it down to 3 key factors here. 3 key factors in effective decision making that will support you even in the moments when you feel immense pressure. And the good news is it's all based in neuroscience, so you can trust that it works. So the first key factor is the awareness of your sensory preference. Well, the sensory preference may be a new term to you. Well, you don't have to map it. That's an entirely different keynote. That may be one above my pay grade right now. You just need to be aware of your sensory preferences. And no, I'm not saying you go buy 23andMe kit or an Ancestry kit that will navigate your sensory preferences. But here are a few examples for your sensory preferences. See how you would answer these questions. And I have 2 just for now. Do you get energized by being in a large group, large crowd, or do you prefer working in a remote environment? Do you enjoy music in the background when you work, or do you prefer quiet environments? Yeah. So by answering these simple sensory preference questions, which you prefer and do not prefer, you can be aware of the environments that will support you when you're making important decisions. And guess what? Not one size fits all. Each one of us have our own unique sensory fingerprint. Yes, each one of us have our own sensory fingerprint, our own sensory preferences. So that's the number one key factor. The second key factor is self-regulation. Wow, don't we wish we could self-regulate every day? Which is the understanding of how your sensory preferences impact you so you can stay present as you face challenges and navigate life while remaining present. Well, there is something called presenteeism, and it means that you are present physically, but that you are checked out mentally. And as a side, presenteeism costs business more every year than absenteeism, because sometimes we're checked out. We're physically there, but we're checked out. So with self-regulation, when you feel the pressure, you have the tools to bring yourself back to center, to be grounded, and to make a clear decision. So let's see how this might work. Think back to a time that you were put on the spot and you had to make a decision. And I bet, raise your hand if you've ever been put on the spot to make a decision. I know I have. And perhaps in these moments, you may have reacted instead of responding. And when we react, we are in flight, fight mode, and it's immediate and rash. And when we respond, it's clear and deliberate. Self-regulation can be as simple as taking a pause, or maybe just asking for what you need. Maybe it's more time for more information, or maybe it's others contributing to the decision. So the first key factor was preferences, to be aware. The second key factor is self-regulation. And now the third key factor, this is what's fun, is to recognize when you get triggered and pivot when necessary. Good leaders make decisions when they are aware of not only their sensory preferences and can utilize tools to self-regulate, keys 1 and 2, but the best leaders not only follow 1 and 2, they also identify their triggers and how to navigate them to make confident decisions. So, one of your triggers may be getting defensive when someone questions your decision. Ever have that happen? For others, you may be triggered by the fear of making the wrong decision. Ever have that happen by making the wrong decision? Well, when you're triggered, it's not what's wrong with you. No, it's not what's wrong with you or what needs to be fixed, but rather, what strategies or tools do I have in place to diffuse my trigger? Now, what's in my tool belt so that I can make the most powerful decisions? So I'm going to bring up this slide that has to do, there we go. If I can move slide 1 to 2 here. Yeah, this is amazing. It may be a trigger to you just to see all those many words on a slide. So it's my trigger slide. It's a stress. And what happens when we get stressed? Well, we disconnect. Maybe we check out with absenteeism. Sometimes our health happens. Yeah, the loss of confidence, anxiety happens. We're frustrated. There's a lot of things happen when we get stressed. And one of the most powerful tools, and I'm sure you've heard about it, is a strategy that I use that is available to all of us, and that's breathing. And allowing time within with that focused inhale and exhale like they do in yoga or other places. And you know that can change the chemistry of your brain. And here's how it works. I find this very interesting. Here's how it works. I have my little wonderful brain there. When we get triggered, there's 3 areas that it moves through in our brain. And it starts from the bottom up. The bottom up is that primitive brain area. And that's where we have all our sensory systems in our body. We have our feelings. We start feeling that trigger there first. And then it travels up to that emotional intelligence, which is our feeling brain, which is about 80%. And finally, it moves up to our IQ, which is, I call that the executive brain. We're ready to make and have a response. So, did you know that it takes from the time you get triggered, from the time it shows up into your emotional intelligence, like what did I do? How did I do it? What was in the past? To now that executive brain, it takes 90 seconds. 90 seconds to have that pause, to travel up to that reasoning, thinking, logic, performing. So I invite yourself to give yourself 90 seconds to allow that process, to take some deep breaths, or excuse yourself, go outside for a walk, so that when you come back, you can respond and not react. And by calming the brain, you are available to new possibilities in that space and choices for decision making. So I'm going to ask you, this is where I get to have fun with you. So if you have a pen or pencil, or you can even use your computer if you wish, but I have a few set of questions in the sensory area in the systems that I'm going to ask you to see how you feel in your sensory preferences about that. So if I ask questions, notice how you feel. Notice if you feel stressed, fear, anxiety, or have a feeling of being overwhelmed, maybe flooded. Or if you feel energized, calm, or just neutral. And just to let you know, there's no right or wrong questions here, right or wrong answers. This is just a tool to uncover your sensory fingerprint. And it's just a snapshot tonight or this morning that I wanted to share with you. So here we go. Pens and pencils ready? So you can choose your choice here of your question. Becoming aware of your sensory preferences. Yes, no, or maybe, or you're flexible in it. All right, so our first question is, how would you describe the environment you thrive in? What's the environment you thrive in? Number one, do you prefer a constant change? Do you like bright lights, open windows, music? Of course, you don't mind interruptions. That's not a problem. Or two, do you prefer a flexible workspace? Organized office? Maybe you enjoy calming music or an audiobook. Or three, do you like quiet, noise canceling earphones maybe? You're sensitive to some lights or scents, and you like things neat and tidy. Or four, do you watch TV and let other people worry about the environment? So note how you feel and what's your preference on the environment. I'll go to my next question. This has to do with movement. What does a workout in the morning, exercise, energize you? So does a workout in the morning energize you? Does it, one, often energizes me? Yeah, it sets my day. I love it. It gets me started. Two, sometimes energizes me. Three, rarely energizes me. No, I don't need it. Or four, would only do it as part of a plea bargain. So note how you feel about movement. Note how you feel about movement. All right. So socializing. Do you like socializing? in large groups. Wow, socializing in large groups. Number one, love being in a large group. Wow, I love it. I just get so excited. I love large groups. Or number two, flexible being in a large group. Or yeah, I can be in a small group too. I can go either way. Or C, prefer small groups only, or maybe one-on-one. And four, don't even like being in a Facebook group. So note what you like on your socializing and what you choose in your preferences. And I have one last slide here that I'm going to bring to you, and that is smell. And I bring smell out because it has a preference kind of all of its own. So number one, what is your reaction to smell? Do you prefer to smell maybe like something essential oils at work, or you have your office at home? Do you like cologne? Do you like to smell perfume? Do you like to spray air fresheners? All right. Or number two, do you like a variety of odors? Well, okay, you like a variety. Or number three, man, prefer no odors around me at all. Man, I take that shaving cream away from me, take that perfume away from me. I don't want anything around me. I don't want any odors. Or number four, for fun, simply the smell of really good food makes you gain weight. So smell. See what your system says and your preferences about smell. All right. So I have, now that you have those, I can kind of give you in generality a little snapshot of how this all works into your own sensory system, into your own preferences, and into your own DNA. For in general, if you selected mostly A's, that's what we call a sensory seeker, referred to someone who is high energy and who likes active environment, is a lot of stimulus. You may prefer to socialize in large groups, and you are goal driven. So that's a sensory seeker, and that's kind of just in general. If you selected mostly B's, you're a sensory neutral, and by that, that's referred to as someone who is flexible and easily shift and can cope with stress. In other words, you just go with the flow. If you selected mostly C's, you're more of a sensory avoider, meaning someone who is cautious. You may not like to have a lot of change, prefer a calm environment, prefer to socialize in small groups, maybe one-on-one, and you definitely like structure. Now, also, in general, there's no specifics, because you might have had an A, you might have had a B, and you might have had a C. And that is okay, because in each sensory system lives differently inside you. And there's not one answer for each one. It's how you perceive your sensory system with the preferences. Now, interesting. So movement with the two little feet that I had down there earlier in my other component here. The two little feet with the two sensory systems relate to movement. And movement is another key component to self-regulate, because you cannot move without creating the results from the sensory system of both proprioceptive and vestibular. So anytime you move your head, anytime you move your arms, anytime you do anything from little on up to more intensive, you're constantly receiving that information. And they use that as a universal regulator to help self-regulate. And beyond your sensory preferences, There's a few tools that will support you that I'm going to share with you just to cover all bases here besides movement and breathing. So if you are and you did a sensory seeker here, then this is where you can have fun here because, wow, do you like a 1-minute dance party? If I put on a 1-minute dance party, the sensory seekers would get up and dance and just think that was great. Or maybe squeeze a stress ball. Some of you might already do that. Have something fidget at work that you use. Or use a standing desk so you can move. A massage. Or go for a walking meeting outside. Those are just a few things that will support your productivity for the day and to support decision making for sensory seekers. Sensory neutrals, ability to shift naturally. Okay, so this supports sensory neutrals. Practice 5 minutes of quiet time. Do something regularly that calms you. Do something regularly that you enjoy. That supports sensory shifting and agility in a neutral. And for the sensory avoiders, the ones that are a little sensitive here, look at your how your home is organized in your workspace to promote efficiency and calmness. And note if your home is your workspace, just do the same there. And put your cell on vibrate or in low volume, or take the dings off your computer. So the ding, ding, dings and the cell phone dings, if you're sensitive to auditory sounds, take those off. Use ringtones with soft calming. Or something that I have found out lately is to use a progressive alarm instead of the wake up alarm that wakes you up and you come flying out of bed. That progressive alarm with someone that is sensitive to noise supports them. So by being present with your sensory preferences, you're able to see new possibilities for how you can control emotions. By using your body and your movement, you can shift emotions that trigger your sensory system. And the benefits of self-regulation, well, I can say a lot. But thriving in any environment with tools to manage your thresholds and self-regulate at work, at home, and in relationships. How great would we want to have that? To have the tools to when we get triggered. It also is clarity, learning how to trust ourselves, listening to our intuition, listening through our body, and how we interact with the world. So to summarize here, just briefly, becoming self-aware of your sensory thresholds and preferences will help you to self-regulate and to thrive regardless of your surroundings or your environment, and to adjust at a moment's notice. Pivot when necessary and thrive with agility. And in the bargain, you'll be a far better leader and a woman in power to make effective decisions. So thank you for letting me share women in power making decisions using the sensory system. I coach coaches, executives, and one-on-one to explore the sensory lens. This is fun that I kind of created. I don't know if this is something that you do. Oops. But I did a little scan thing. If you want to scan, you can pick up my social media information, how to contact me. I'd love to connect with you. And if you don't have a scanner, that's fine. I'll leave that up just for a second. And I also have this, and I see it's in our feed as well. So that's how you can get a hold of me. And I'm so enjoying having the opportunity to connect you like this to share my passion because this is neuroscience, it is our DNA. And now I think I have plenty of time for questions. So, if I may, I'd be happy to take questions. So, let me stop the presentation with the slides, and I'll be happy to take any questions if you have any or curious about sensory preferences, sensory regulation, tools, anything that I can support on. I'd be happy to take any questions at this point in time.
Oh, wow, that's really a great presentation. So this was really an enlightening speech. It's really a good start for the day two WIN conference,
Yeah.
and so as I felt like I am speaking directly with you. Thank you so much for your inspirational speech and motivational to all the women. And so we have a question uh, from audience.
Okay.
So, so how gender roles affects decision making?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
How gender roles affects decision making?
Oh, that's a good question.
Thank you.
Ah, that's a great question. We can really get into that. As far as the sensory system goes, male and female, you have your own unique sensory system. So there's not a lot of difference. Now, if you get into the hierarchy of male and female, the psychology of how we all are put together and work in that part of the neuroscience, there may be some differences. But as far from the sensory, our DNA, because it is our DNA, that's who we are. So there's no differences between male and female. And we have this when we're born, we grow up with it, and we learn to accommodate, whether we know it or not. We learn how to accommodate. You know, we're, we're filling our hair like you are, Melinda. We're, how do we focus? How do we pay attention? How are we productive? And so that's goes universal across the board. But good question. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Well answered. So thank you so much. And ladies and gentlemen, we have another event, upcoming event in March 8th and 9th, 2023 in Paris. That is on Ultimate Women's Expo. So anyone who are interested, you can register with us. There are only few slots available. Thank you so much, Liz Dobbins. It's a good start for the day too, and
Thank
have a
you.
great.
Thank you. I hope everybody has wonderful energy today.
Yes. Thank you and bye bye.
Thank you. Bye bye.
So ladies and gentlemen, let's go to the another session, Munira Jahabi. So please join Munira Jahabi session.